It's a very complex issue. And for anybody to come out of the box and say more roads or anything of that nature, that's not an answer. It's going to be a variety of options that are going to achieve that. And the options are, we already talked about it, pedestrian connectivity, neighborhood connectivity, bikeways, the extension of the greenways. Our greenways will eventually connect up with the Carolina Thread Trail, so we have that in place, so we'll see that. Transportation options. To this day, for 10 years, I've always wanted the Matthews Area Transit Authority, our own local trolley, to go from businesses to businesses and into the hinterlands, the other neighborhoods. So it's a variety of options and a variety of alternatives combined in a comprehensive plan that will work to decrease congestion in the town of Matthews. In relationship to architectural and design, the increased level of density and people living, working, and playing and praying in an immediate area also helps because you have less activity to want to get in your car and go someplace. So if we afford all these options to be able to live and work here, live and play here, have your own office here, you don't have a reason to go to downtown Charlotte. And again, that reduces congestion. And frankly, the reality is with Uber and Lyft and things like that,
10 seconds.
The dynamic is changing rapidly as well. So it's an all new world, but it requires an all comprehensive alternatives.
Okay, thank you. And just to shake things up, we're going to go down that end and come back this way.
It's like one of those rides at Carowinds.
Yeah, kind of. Hopefully it's not that bumpy for you. Okay, here's a new question. Kind of related, but it's luck of the draw. Should the town increase its connectivity to Independence Boulevard? If so, how and where do you suggest?
That's quite an unusual question. Let's connect to a much larger street system. If you're saying to get people, like in a ball stadium, out quicker, then that has some merits from that standpoint. But let's explain the 74 corridor a little bit. It's coming through. We have the Northeast Parkway, the Matthews Township Parkway on either side. That'll be the sort of ancillary roads to 74. So we'll have that level of connectivity. We'll have flyovers at Sam Newell and 51, which we already have, as we well know. The importance is having a multitude of connection options. That's going to help. 74 has really become a great road if you want to go into downtown without all the traffic lights from that standpoint. But I don't want to see sort of increased road networks or widening road networks just to get cars to 74. I think we have to look at how 485 connects to 74, as well as McKee Road, which we're planning to extend over to 74 as well, to create as many connectivity options as possible. That's the key. And unfortunately, it's a political deathbed for politicians, because when you say connectivity, a lot of citizens and folks don't like that conversation because they want to preserve their cul-de-sacs, they want to preserve their communities, they want to have roads running through. But if we're all going to live in the reality that 700,000 more people are coming to Mecklenburg County over the next 10 years, we need to get proactively aggressive with our connectivity and how we move people around in downtown Matthews.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Ms. Shaw, we're going to come back this way. So your question is, what can leaders do to gain and sustain trust between the public and the police department?
Well, I think that's very important to have trust with the public and the leadership and the police department. I think that we need to have open dialogue. The police department needs to have a good communication and reach out into the community, go into the different neighborhoods that we have here in Matthews. We have lots of very diverse neighborhoods. We have Hispanic neighborhoods and African American neighborhoods, and go into those neighborhoods, become visible there, so that they can be trusted, and they are here for our public safety, for everybody's safety, and everyone needs to know that. There's diversity training, I believe, that they are going to be doing, and that will also help them be able to communicate better with the community at large. And we just need to, as leaders, make sure that that's happening. from the standpoint of town council. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Query, your question. How should town leaders work to balance big box retail along US 74 with the survivability of smaller downtown businesses?
I think that's what we're working towards now in making our downtown more vibrant. And I think it's a totally different thing that people are wanting. When they want to come downtown, you want the small business, and we want to support those small businesses. We have kind of contained most of the large box businesses to the Independence Boulevard, except for a very few of them. And those are not that large that they cause a major problem when they do have problems. And I don't think they really draw that much away from our downtown. Most people that have lived here for a while understand that we have Renfro's and the other eating places downtown, and they want to come down there to enjoy the small town feel. And I think that's what we need to continue to protect.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Miller. I'll make sure I keep it in order here. Can you provide your perspective on the town budget and the services presently provided by Matthews?
Okay. The number one service that Matthews as a government should provide is for your safety. That's divided into fire and police, as well as EMS services. The rest of the budget is primarily for roads and things of that sort. Our budget has been balanced, and we've kept putting more and more money in what we call the reserve fund, or our rainy day fund. It's a savings account for if any crisis were to happen, that we can react to that crisis. And our goal and our policy is to have 34% of our annual budget in the bank for if something were to go wrong. We have had struggled with that percentage, not by much, but between 2008 and 2011 or so, when the crisis hit, we skimmed a little bit below that, and we've been crawling up. But we've worked very hard to keep the tax rate low, stay within our budget, and not harm our customer, all the while having the other services. Obviously, it's police, it's fire, the equipment they entail, EMS and the same, and then other family amenities. You have your concerts in the park, you have your special events throughout the year,
10 seconds.
town holiday, things like that. That makes this town the envy of every town around us. We've got it going right, and our budget is in good shape, and the board is fiscally conservative. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Melton, your question is, what is your vision for downtown Matthews regarding business and housing?
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
She hit the button. Thank you. I think one supports the other, and the other supports the first one. I think there has to be that magic word that everybody likes to hear, and it's balance. You have to have a balance of businesses and residences in downtown Matthews for one to support the other. If you don't have residences in downtown Matthews, if you don't have homes, and some a little higher density than others, then those businesses aren't going to thrive. You asked the question a minute ago, how are we going to balance between big box stores and small merchants in downtown Matthews? And these two questions correlate to each other. The Best Buys, the Lowe's, the Costco's of the world, they're going to survive because of who they are. You need to, in the downtown area of Matthews, you need to give people a reason to come down there with a good product from the businesses, but you also need to make it easy for the citizens to get to downtown Matthews. You also need to make it attractable and affordable for those folks to live in downtown. If you can't afford it, you're not going to come down there, obviously. But you need to have that good economic environment that the town is responsible for creating. You get the question a lot of times, what is the town doing to help my business succeed? Well, we're doing what we can using the tools we have to create that sustainable economic environment to allow you to succeed. So I think to go back to your original question, what you do to help businesses and residences thrive in the same areas, you do everything you can to offer that balance of one and the other.
Thank you, sir. You don't want the same question twice. Okay. Next question is, describe what the Matthews Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resource Department should look like 4 years from now.
Well, funny you should ask, Bill. Just today, I ran an ad in the Matthews Menhill Weekly saying that I'm your advocate for parks and open spaces. I would like to see the town of Matthews land bank some more property for future parks. I think it's probably correct that we probably have enough parks right now for our current population, but I don't think we're going to have enough in the future when the 700,000 people that Commissioner Urban mentioned move here. So first and foremost, I think we